Welcome to All For You Stories, real stories to get you to think different so you act different. Let's go. Me, the Mouth, and G-Child. When I first started taking the city bus, I felt excited. It made me feel mature that my parents did not have to take me places and I could travel independently. At first, they only allowed me to go to the mall on weekends, but soon after, they trusted me enough to take the bus wherever I needed to go. For the most part, I liked taking the bus. Some older girls were fun to look at, and something crazy seemed to happen every day. Last month, the bus driver got in a fight with a man who tried to get on without paying. Eventually, the more petite man backed down when the driver took off his seatbelt. But that did not happen a few weeks later when a lady tried the same thing. The two of them barked back and forth at each other until once again the driver took off his seatbelt. He moved towards the lady, but she did not retreat as the man did. Instead, she charged at him and knocked him back into his seat. He bounced into the window before pushing the woman out the door. If he didn't push her, she certainly would have hit him. And by the girth of her arms and shoulders, her hits would have hurt. Something like this happened every week, and I have to admit I liked it. It was like having a front row seat to a movie. But this also meant I had a front row seat to one of the most annoying people ever. 2 stops after I got on, a man who everyone called the Mouth got on the bus. I don't know if anyone told me about his nickname or I made it up myself, but it fits him perfectly. Every day, he strategically sat in the middle section to have access to everyone on the bus and used this location to find someone to argue with. The first week I took the bus, he argued with an old lady about vegetables. 2 days later, he argued with an old man about haircuts. The next day, the dispute was about condiments. It was that day, watching him scream at the top of his lungs about mustard, that I realized this man just wanted to argue with anyone about anything. No matter what the subject, who the person, Mouth always found something to fight about. For the most part, I never wanted to say anything, but there were a few times I started to get involved. Last week, he started talking nonsense about the Clippers being LA's team instead of the Lakers. This caught me off guard because the week before, he passionately argued with some teenagers about how the Lakers were the most outstanding franchise ever. But his position changed with this argument, and I would have called him on it, but my stop came up. This happened on a Friday, and over the weekend, I calmed down. But he got me revved up again the following week when he tried to argue with a Mexican lady about religion. The two of them got into it, and before long, half the bus argued with each other. This included the bus driver, who missed a light turning green while staring into his large rectangular mirror and yelling something about how God changed his life. I did not say anything to anyone, but when I got home, I regretted it. I regretted it so much, I wrote down everything I would say to the Mouth when it happened again. When I finished writing, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror and practiced saying it. Sometimes I yelled, and others I tried talking calmly. Regardless of how I said it, it had to get said. I would not let him get away with disrespecting God again. I practiced what I would say all of Saturday, although I stopped talking calmly by then. Everything I said came out loud because I knew I would have to speak loud when dealing with the Mouth. My mother caught me talking to myself a couple of times, but she didn't say anything. I guess I do it a lot, so it didn't seem out of the ordinary. I went to church on Sunday, but I didn't pay attention. By then, I had pretty much memorized what I planned to say, so while they taught a lesson about living in the world, I silently recited what I would say to the Mouth. When school ended on Monday, I became nervous about standing up to him. I felt confident about what I would say, but I also knew he would have an answer for whatever I said. The teacher from my last period got COVID, and we did not know when she would be returning. We've had a revolving door of subs for the past 2 weeks, and the one today was much like the others. He introduced himself and then forgot about us. Luckily, this class was a pretty good one, and it did not get too loud or out of control. Instead, we all just went on our cell phones and waited for the day to end. Usually I would watch TikToks, but I went to Twitter today instead. Or is it called X? I'm not sure. But regardless, I knew it would be easy to find someone to debate with. And within a minute, it happened. I jumped into a conversation about God and was able to say some of the things I planned to say to the mouth later. I went back and forth with a few people for about 10 minutes and found someone who thought the same as me. They went by the handle G-Child, and they backed me up a couple of times and even said what I planned to say a few others. We were having an intense debate with a group of people when out of nowhere G-Child typed Proverbs 26:4, and then suddenly he left. I never heard from G-Child again. Someone I had been arguing with started to curse, and without giving it any thought, I cursed right back at him. This continued for a while before I ran out of things to say, but they didn't. They mixed profanities and scriptures for post after post, waiting for me to respond. But instead of responding, I looked up Proverbs 26:4. When I got on the bus, I signed on to TikTok. It caught my attention when a group of teens tried to sneak on the bus, but the driver shut them down pretty quick. The mouth got on the bus, and within a minute started a conversation with the man next to him about Trump. When the man agreed with him, he switched sides and brought up something about Biden. He tried to ignore the mouth, but by the time they got to the next light, an argument broke out. But rather than listen to it, I watched a TikTok of different magic tricks. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe, and then do what you gotta do.